Well, first of all, I guess we should salute Dave Roberts. There's been an awful lot of condemnation in Los Angeles and even from some people in San Diego with Dave Roberts' managerial mishandling of the Dodger pitching staff. But Roberts has cracked the 700 victory mark.
Wow.
His career record at Los Angeles is now 701 and 419. All those division titles, getting to the World Series multiple times, and winning one World Series. I mean, those are staggering accomplishments for a first-time manager, 701 and 419. Now, pitching staff, Dodger Blue, disaster. Tidal wave of injuries. The injuries just continue to mount on the mound core. The latest is Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw's on the injured list with shoulder problems. And of course, he had elbow problems and he has a history of back problems. That despite winning 10 games this season and having an amazing 2.94 ERA. This setback comes on the heels of everything else that's gone wrong. And now the word this week, Dustin May is going in for double elbow surgery, both tendon and ligament. He had a plasma platelet injection. They thought he was making progress. The discomfort returned again while he was on the injured list. Shut him down completely. He's going to be gone 9 months, which pushes Dustin May into next season. So that's a significant loss. Julio Urias is back, but he's not back to where he was a year ago in terms of dominance. He's got a hamstring issue that just seems to continue to exist. They have to deal very carefully with him as to how long he stays out on the mound. Of course, there is no Walker Buehler. Noah Syndergaard could be activated right after the All-Star break, but we don't know whether or not he's worked out all of his mechanical flaw problems and gotten his velocity back. He's been back at Camelback Ranch in extended spring training. It's hard to believe that Ryan Pepio, the hot young pitcher from AAA that we had flashes last year, he has yet to throw. He had an oblique injury in spring training, and he's not back on the mound yet. Tony Gonsolin has just never recovered to be the kind of pitcher he was last year. He had a bad ankle injury early this season. There are trade talks at Dodger Stadium that they may go out and look for a starting pitcher. And I'll throw you 3 names that I've heard from the guys I network with. One of them would cost them a ton. Marco Stroman, Chicago Cubs, all-star pitcher. Spectacular season in his contract year. Cubbies are not going to give him away. They haven't opened any contract extension talks with him. You get Stroman, that's a front end of the rotation guy, but you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. Another one is Jack Flaherty, once promising St. Louis Cardinal guy. He's on the edge of being bumped off the roster because they've got other young pitchers they want to look at. He's been good in spurts, but he's also had a lot of nagging injuries. Another one is soon to be White Sox free agent Lucas Giolito. At one time was the hottest pitching prospect in Toronto, went to the White Sox in a blockbuster trade, pitched well first couple of years, hasn't been the same pitcher, some mild nagging injuries there. He's a walk free agent. White Sox have not indicated they're going to sign him. So those are 3 that I've been told that they might make a move on one of those guys. You get Stroman, holy cow, that puts you back in the top of the fight for first place in the pennant race. But to get Stroman, you may have to deal away a bunch of the young arms that they got stockpiled and have been developing at Oklahoma City. Your response on Dodger Blue, John?
Well, first of all, yeah, props to Dave Roberts. I mean, 700 wins, and how many? It's just been like about 7.5 seasons to get to 700 wins. That's just incredible. But remember, Lee, you were speculating about Zach Greinke and even Madison Bumgarner going to Dodger Blue. I mean, are those rumors still circulating?
Bumgarner's not been contacted by anybody. I think the whole reality is he's got an awful lot of mileage on that arm, John, and he couldn't get anybody out when he was in Arizona. His ERA after he went from San Francisco to the Diamondbacks was utterly atrocious. So it may well be he's done. And Greinke is being put back on the injured list this week by Kansas City. He's not been dominant. There's some nagging stuff going on, and I don't know whether it's shoulder related or it's got something to do with the groin. But at this point in time, he's not healthy, so I don't think he's going to be traded. So that's where we are. We'll see what happens. We get the whole month of July. Trading deadline comes up July 31st, John. I would think if the Dodgers are going to try to do something, they would want to do it earlier than later, earlier to get more starts out of the guy who would be the front-end pitcher coming their way. Okay, from that team, let's talk.